Chuck knows what's up. Welcome back to the lunch table, Food for Thought. I'm Nico Blitz. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right down there. We're also on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and the iHeartRadio app. My next guest, there's a lot to say about my next guest, actually. You cannot be part of LA hip-hop without going through this man's platform. He's responsible for, I want to say, jump-starting a lot of the music that is popping nowadays between the Kendrick Lamars, the Ab-Souls of the world, the J-Rocks. Shit, you can even go from like the YGs and all the Ratchets, all the Ratchet music and shit. He is the founder of this thing called Homegrown Radio, an on-air personality at Real 92.3, a co-worker and a good friend. He goes by the name of Chuck Dizzle. What's poppin', Chuck?
Man, Nico, thank you so much for having me on here, man. It's an honor. I was just telling you before I walked in, I'm like, yo, I made it. Like, I'm so used to seeing the records, and to actually be here, man, it's an honor. I appreciate you having me on here, bro, for real.
Well, you know what's crazy is that I actually first heard of Homegrown Radio when I first moved out here.
Really?
And it was on C5's project.
Right.
He had like a little snippet that said Homegrown Radio. I was like, what the hell is that?
Right. Yeah.
And then, I just kind of did my research a little bit later on. I'm like, wow, these guys go back as far as like 10 years.
So you heard it, you researched it prior to working for the station?
Yeah.
Wow. So you were doing your research.
And the funny thing was that when I met Chunk,
Big Chunk, you thought it was me.
I thought Chunk and Chuck were the same person. I was like, hey man, so are you part of like Homegrown Radio? He's like, nah, bro,
nah, that ain't me. It's the other guy, different weight platform. You know what I'm saying? No, I get a lot of people that call me Chunk Dizzle. I'm like
Chunk Dizzle.
Yeah, it's like they morph our names up together for some reason. But nah, man, it's one of those things where we've been doing it for about over 10 years. We actually just recently celebrated our 10-year anniversary, and it still like throws me off when people say that, because in my mind, as I'm pretty sure DJ had to tell you too, in our minds we still haven't really registered the impact of it. Like, we're still toes to the ground, like, really grinding it out, trying to make an impact with our platforms and our voices, and really understanding the influence that we have currently, but not realizing that there's a resume behind what we've done. And that's kind of how I always look at my career. Like, it's great to know the things that we have done, but I'm always forward thinking about what's next and what possibilities and things that we can lay out for future. You know what I'm saying? Not always just thinking in the past, but staying present.
Well, it's platforms like Homegrown Radio that really inspire me to keep doing what I do, because it's really the epitome of that. There's no such thing as overnight success.
Absolutely. And to me, it's crazy even living that, because again, I'll go back and look at interviews that we've done from years back, and like, yo, that feels like 2-3 years ago, when it's like 2008 or 2007. I'm like, Jesus. Like, but it does show that there's no overnight success. It takes 10 years literally to become an quote unquote overnight success.
Yeah.
So I mean, that if I'm glad that the Homegrown Radio brand, myself, DJ Head, like, that we are synonymous with hardworking and understand that you got to really put your foot down and continue to grind it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So then how did the brand Homegrown Radio even start?
So basically, long story short,
I mean, we go with the long story.
Okay. I mean, what's funny is, even when I say long story short, it's going to end up being long anyway. Shout out to my wife. She always get mad at me when she's like, yeah, every time you say long story short, it ends up being long.
It's still long.
Exactly. Pause. So basically, as pretty much anybody that starts in hip hop, man, I was rapping back in the day. I used to rap. Okay. I used to have this production company as well, and it was called Homegrown Studio Sounds, and it was based off of me having and doing beats inside my mom's crib, like in the room of my mom's crib. So
hilarious.
I would do that. People would come over, freestyle, would record artists or whatever. But at the time, I was always interested in radio. Like, I've been interested in radio since the age of 10, and I knew that to get my foot in radio, I had to do an internship. So when I got to college, naturally, I knew I was going to have a radio show, or at least attempt to. So when I got at Long Beach State, after about a year, some change, I had like a couple of different names. But as this company was evolving that I was like, you know what, it just makes the most sense to market it the right way and call it Homegrown Radio. Mm-hmm. And in the back of my mind, I don't think I really knew that it would be featuring new artists and people on the come up, but I knew that was just the foundation of who I was. When I got my start in radio, I was so naive to what radio personalities could do. So I'm thinking that, oh, you give somebody your music, you can play it on the air, and then that's the end all. Like
that's it.
You
bread and butter,
baby. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got on air to do. And I was found, got hit by a rude awakening that's not how it goes. So that kind of played in the role of, oh damn, well I have this platform to play music that I want. Yeah, I'm gonna play the shit that I love, but then I'm gonna also play the artists that people have never heard before that were giving me their music as a street teamer on the streets. And I'm like, well, I can't play your record it was the Beat at the time. I can't play your music at 100.3 The Beat, but I can play it at Homegrown Radio at Long Beach State. So that's kind of how it started. And then it evolved into just this big-ass movement that I didn't even think it was going to go in that direction, but I was thankful that it did because a lot of people's stories got attached to it. You know what I'm saying? As far as starting their careers off, whether it be people that were just coming by, hanging by the show, or people's music that we were breaking and just really giving them that outlet to just have their music heard,
Who was like the first person that you guys ended up interviewing for Homegrown Radio?
I mean, so
or one of the first.
There's a lot of firsts, but the first one that people would probably recognize. Well, funny part about this. So I had an internship at 100.3 The Beat, which was the station I got my foot in the door. And the reason I knew that I wanted to get my start in radio, they said you had to do an internship in order to so you had to get college credit in order to do the internship. Yeah. So Long Beach State, I was like, hey, I got to get my foot in the door with this with the radio program in order to do this internship. So when I got my internship at The Beat, being a street teamer, doing what I could to hustle, I would always see people out and about. And there was one person or a group of people that were leaving the station one day as I was coming for an event or leaving from the event. But anyway, we were in the elevator at the same time. And they're like, yeah, we just had a meeting with the music director. This is dude right here. He's just signed to Warner Brothers, like dude from Watts. His name is J-Rock. I was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you. Took his information, and lo and behold, they came down, and I was playing their music, supporting their shit. And years down the line, they brought in K-Dot and Ab-Soul, and it was like we just morphed into this dope-ass relationship. But that was like one of the first people that I played. Like, even to this day, I'll probably send you a screenshot of it, but I still have J-Rock's demo with a number on it. I think I can't even screenshot it because it might be Top Dog's actual number. It was a number. I remember me and Top had like the same number, like the same prefix and everything. So that's how I knew, like, oh, damn, that's crazy. We're around the same area or whatnot. But yeah, so I still have his demo tape to this day. But he was one of the first people that got a chance to go on Homegrown Radio in the early days when we were at Long Beach State.
Yeah. And did you know J-Rock was ever going to be a thing?
Well, I mean, I knew it was something because of his voice. The way his voice, it just sounded different than, it had a West Coast style to it, which was that's all you needed from me. I was like, that's what I like to support anyway. But it was something about his style and his energy and how humble him and the crew were. And I knew that they were willing to do any and everything just from the early days to make an impact. And I think that always resonated with me. Even meeting J-Rock, and this is before Kendrick, it was just something about them. I'll give you a story. As I was working for the Beat, one of my duties was as a street teamer. I worked my way up from a street teamer to doing like the morning show hit. So Louis G, right?
Yeah.
I was doing like the Louis G stuff. I was going out in the streets, calling up to the station, and just saying, hey, we're over here at so-and-so. Come and pull up. We got these tickets. Yeah. At the time, me and J-Rock and Top and this dude named B-Dog and Punch, we all, had each other's numbers and each other's chirps at the time. So we would chirp each other. I was like, I'm going to be in Watts at this place called Watts Coffee House. Now, this is the enemy hood of where J-Rock and the Nickerson Guards, like where it's literally across the street, but it's the enemy hood. But they were like, we're going to pull up on you and just support you where you at. So that's how I knew, like, it was just different. They came out of the way to come just pull up and just say what's up. And what I would do is I would be on these street hits and I would like give the crowd I'd be like, yo, we out here in the streets, make some noise, and be like, ah. So what I would do, I was like, yo, come out here. I was like, if you come out here, I'll get you on the radio. So just pull up, I'll give you a shout out, but just you guys got to be quick, come out. So they came out in this enemy territory, and literally I was like, yo, okay, we out here in the streets, Watts Coffee House, make some noise. I got some people that want to say what's up. It's like, hey, this is Cynthia from so-and-so. Hey, yo, what's up? This is J-Rock, Watts, TDE, and they never forgot that. And then we joke to this day, he's like, man, do you know what we did just to come pull up on you?
Well, you know how crazy that sounds?
Oh, it's ridiculous. I really, honestly, now thinking about it, it's the first time I ever told somebody that. I really wish that I could find the audio from that, because it'd just sound crazy from had to be 2006, 2000. I don't even think it was 2007, but it was early days. This is still the early days of J-Rock, TDE, and yeah, so it was just one of those moments where I knew then that it was something special about them, that they were willing to do that just to support somebody that, and at the time, I wasn't on air. I was just a street team member. I wasn't somebody that they can really benefit off the relationship. Now, looking back, yeah, of course, I had affiliation with the radio station, so that could have been it, but you can tell it was a genuine respect there. You know, they weren't blown up. They weren't the highest artists on the label at Warner Brothers, and I wasn't on the highest of the totem pole of the beat, but it was just like, yo, we're both on the come up and on the grind. I think we both respected each other's hustle, so they would always come back to Long Beach State whenever they had new acts or new things going on and shoot me the music. And whenever I had stuff for the station, I would shoot them tickets, and they would just keep me informed about what was going on with the whole crew.
You guys would keep the relationship going on.
Keep the relationship building. So that was one of the main core friendships that I pretty much built. Another one was G Malone, Glasses Malone, who basically I got introduced to. I knew who he was. His song was buzzing in the city, and that's how me and DJ Head's relationship kind of formed, because we had a mutual friend by the name of Smarts, rest in peace, who was like, yo, you do music. I mean, you do college radio over here at Long Beach State. My boy Head, have you heard of him? I was like, yeah, I know of him. He used to host a lot of different things, different parties here and there. Yeah. He's like, my boy Head does a radio show at Cerritos College. He's like, but you guys are do the same thing. You guys should link up. And I just, do you have his number? I was like, oh no, shoot me his number. We connected, and then literally that first week that I had Head's number, he hit me one night. I'm sitting there doing my show at Long Beach State. The little phone rings, and I pick up. I'm like, yo, K Beach. He's like, yeah, what's up, man? It's G Malone. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck are you doing? Calling. He was like, yeah, my boy Head told me to hit you up. I'm like, okay, all right. So coming up next, we got Glasses Malone on the line. What's up? Hey, man, just saying what's up, man. Appreciate what you do out here. I just had a dope-ass conversation. First interview, I was like, yo, I want you to come back. And we set up another interview where we had this crew we had called Blue Division, and Head was a part of that. And this is the early days, right before he got started to DJ. So at that point, when they came down, he was just getting into it, DJ Head was. And he was like, yo, I see what you're doing over here. It's kind of dope, Hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Cool. So when we were at Long Beach State, there's an important thing that people know that comes down to Homegrown Radio. There's 3 different phases. There's the Long Beach State phase, which is college radio. Yeah. There's the apartment phase, which is Lamoli.
Your apartment.
Exactly. And then there's Real 92.3. Yeah, exactly. So this is the college phase transitioning into the apartment phase, right? So at this point, we're about to, long ass story short, that's going to go longer. Right. You're going to condense that motherfucker. I graduated from Long Beach State in 2005, just to kind of paint a picture. Yeah. I started my radio show. I was doing it since 2002, right? Homegrown Radio, I got the name. I transformed the name Homegrown Radio into 2000, around 2006, 2007, right? So all these other names, I just had regular radio show names, and I called it Homegrown Radio starting around 2006, 2007. Okay. Around the same time that I met Head, and at that time, I wasn't supposed to be at the station. Because I'd already graduated. So I'm bullshit. I still have the key card, and I'm just finessing my way every single semester.
You weren't even getting college credits or anything.
Wasn't even getting college credits. Crazy. I wasn't even supposed to be there. They just never cut my key card off. So I would keep going every single week, even during the summer break, even during the winter break. I would just keep continuing. I was cool with one of the janitors, so he would always open the door for me throughout the breaks. And throughout all of that, I'm saying all that to say, at one time I got cut off and my key card stopped working. So I'm like, bro, I got to figure a way to keep this going. Because at this point now, the J-Rock, he just came through. He had this single called All My Life with Lil Wayne.
I love that song.
So that was now imagine, seeing J-Rock starting to get his start. and TDE. And at that time, that's when he brought Ab Soul and K-Dot. That was my introduction to them. Fast forward, G Malone comes through. And so all these people that are bubbling out west are starting to come on the show. And they're realizing that, like, yo, this is the new hub for upcoming artists in LA radio. You know, they can't get their music played over there at Power or even K-Dot at the time, like, because it was just crazy, right?
Politics.
Radio politics. That's how it goes. But they knew that, hey, this dude, he can play your music and he'll support your shit. So when the transition came from me having to get out of Long Beach State and figure a way to do it inside my apartment, pieced up, got some equipment, I was like, damn, like I'm used to doing just the hosting and the talking. I was like, I gotta have music. And at the time, I was just literally just playing one song to the next, going through my iTunes playlist and I was going to like literally have my drops, do it at the same time, talk. It was to look back at it now, it was crazy just to see how it would run a 2-hour show. So I was like, you know what, moving forward, I kind of want to have a little more of a professional look, and I don't have to worry about the music. Yeah, I know about all the shit that's popping, but I'd rather have a DJ in. I was like, boom,
DJ
Head. I was like, yo, I got this equipment. I just moved into my apartment. Can you come down this Thursday? Yeah, I got you. And mind you, I already did one show without anything, and that's how I knew. And funny part about that shit, the first show that I had inside my apartment, before we even had, like, I did it in my living room, kind of similar to this. I had it in my living room. It was the whole Top Dog Entertainment crew. And my boy Mac has the footage for this. It was Schoolboy, it was Ab-Soul, it was Kendrick, he was K-Dot, and he was talking about being Kendrick Lamar and then J-Rock. And I did the interview, and it was cool, but I'm like, yo, it's a lot. So like, yo, Head, I need you to come DJ the next week or whatever. So he DJs and literally never left after that. And that's how our relationship built. So it started from there, and every single week he showed up on time. We would knock out shows and just build this relationship where people knew, like, damn, okay, you know, we can't get our music played on the radio, but we know Chuck and Head will support our shit on Homegrown Radio inside the apartment off of Lamoli in Inglewood.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I don't even know where the fucking question started, but I mean, it's just...
Well, I mean, I guess my next question to you is that, like, you know, with you transitioning from Long Beach State to your apartment, and then DJ Head's literally just coming here, or, you know, coming to your apartment, doing Homegrown Radio with you, like, what is it that you guys were seeing that made you want to do it week after week after week? For free at that, too.
For one, we had a passion for it. For two, a lot of these people that we were talking about, we were either fans of or they were really just the homies. So like he had a lot more relationships with the people in terms of like on the artist side, and I was more or less like, yo, I think this dude is dope. I'm gonna hit him up. Like one interview I didn't even mention that started at Long Beach State was Problem. I hit him up on MySpace. I hit the homie Terrence Martin. I hit him up on MySpace like, yo, I think your shit is fly. Yo, can you come down? Yeah, for sure. Take my number here. And they would come down. But at the same time, Head would host parties with them and know them. So it was like, oh, Head, oh, damn, I know you over here. He's a cool dude. And you actually, oh, damn, you kind of know what's going on too. Yeah, of course we're going to pull up whenever you guys need. So it was literally a party every single week. And it was right around the time with my wife, she was getting her business started too. So she would have the food cracking. So everybody knew that at the end of the day, you can come get your music played, or at the very least, you can get some tacos and just chill out in the parking lot or whatever. And it was just like, that was the vibe that we gave off every single week. And I lived there. So it was like, I'm here anyway.
Yeah.
On a random Thursday night, my off day or the day that I got off early, I knew Thursdays was the best time for me. Head didn't have a job at the time, so he was running the streets, and it was something that we all were able to call this our own thing, and it just morphed into something where it became bigger than us because people relied on it. So I think the times that we kind of felt like, I don't feel like doing this or whatever, it was just like, nah, it's mandatory because it's just bigger than us at this point. Mm-hmm. So, and I think every time people came by, they was like, man, I've done, like, I remember my first interview with Problem. He was like, yo, man, I've done a lot. And this is when he had the single, I'm Fucked Up, right? Shit. So this is prime time at the time when he's first getting his name out there. He's like, man, I've done a lot of interviews, bro, but this is the most comfortable I've been in a setting. He was like, what you got is dope. Same thing for Terrence. Terrence, I gotta drop somewhere, but it probably, whatever. But I gotta drop somewhere. He was pretty much shitting on another radio station. He was like, man, that ain't it. This is where it's at. And that just made me feel good because I'm like, yo, that's what I kind of set out to be. Being somebody that was wanting to get my foot into radio, my trajectory, my radar was always a station called 92.3 The Beat, right? And I had the pleasure of working for the station, but they had switched the signals. It's called 100.3 The Beat at the time that I started working there. But I always remembered listening to that station and the personalities on there, and I was like, dude, man, if I ever get the opportunity, I want to sound as fun and as connected and just as in tune with the artists in the community as this station. So fast forward to when we start doing that, and the artists are telling me that, and the people that are coming by, that some are artists, some aren't artists, some just want to hang out, and we just created this vibe. I was like, yo, it's coming together. So that's why we just never stopped, because it became this community that was bigger than us, you know?
Yeah. And I think at that point, too, you kind of separate yourselves from, like, the corporate world. Because, not everybody, like, nobody in the streets is exposed to that corporate world.
Absolutely.
So then the closest thing that they have to, I guess, a corporate setting that was much more homey was Homegrown Radio, and still is Homegrown Radio.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awkward pause right there. You hit it on the head. I mean, seriously, like, a lot of people, they would come through, and it was sometimes it'd be their first time getting interviewed, but they didn't feel nervous, or they didn't feel like, oh my God, the lights are shining on me, because it was literally a conversation. And I think that's what I pride myself in the most, even from early days to now. I know we're gonna probably talk about it, but with Nipsey Hussle, obviously recently passing, some people were bringing up the interviews, and they were like, damn, man, that interview that you guys did with Nipsey when Victory Lap came out, or right before it dropped, that really felt like a conversation. Like, it didn't feel like an interview, and people appreciated it. And, like, so to me, when I get those compliments or those snippets, or people just reaching out like, yo, damn, when you asked him this, or I wasn't gonna watch the interview because it was 30 minutes, but I just sat there and watched the whole thing. It's because of the camaraderie that we had as individuals.
Well, yeah, it's the difference maker when you actually, like, have known the person, at least have, like, been around the person for, like, some sort of change. Because it's like, whenever I get people in here and it's like, I know nothing about them, there's always this barrier that you have to break.
Right.
In which it's like, okay, can we break the awkwardness?
Yeah.
And if we can break the awkwardness, how deep can we go with you? And then once you get deep with somebody, it's kind of just like, okay, well, now it's just normal.
It's all open end. But seeing and I think that was the credit that we had with a lot of people. You're right. Knowing somebody 10 plus years and doing an interview is one thing, but we were breaking that barrier up on that first interview sometimes. Like, it would literally be, hey, what you drinking on? You drinking on this? So it was like, that was sometimes that was breaking the ice. Or, oh, your wife made food? Oh, shit. Like, to this day, Absol was like, yo, what's up with the Snickers? Because the first time he came through, my wife cooked a gang of shit, but she had this bowl of snacks and just made sure that they have them. So she's like, every time I say, yo, man, what's up, Tashi and the Snickers, man? So that was like that icebreaker when they would always come through. When people would come through, they knew it was like literally a home environment.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest difference makers, because they would walk into it with their guard up, like, okay, whether it be they didn't know who I was, exactly what they're getting into, or just the idea of just talking to people. Like, that's one thing that people kind of take for granted as far as being media trained. It's like the ability to just tell your story and just let that just unload and just be completely you. Sometimes people have a hard time doing that, whether it be because of the background, being in the streets, or just whatever it is. But they would walk into the home and just see it like, oh, this is like, when I walked in here, the same things, like, yo, this reminds me of the early days of Homegrown. It's like, yo, you doing it from the ground up. And that automatically, sometimes, in some cases, depending on the environment, it sheds that wall. And a lot of people, when they came in, they saw like, oh, damn, your dog's running around here. Oh, damn, your wife's making food. Man, you got this drink for me. And it turned into something completely different.
Well, I think a plus that you guys had, like, back in the day too, was that this social media shit didn't really exist. You know what I mean? Because nowadays I feel like everybody has this sort of, like, demeanor and this look that they want to, like, present to the world. So when somebody is media trained, for example, like, they're just stuck to one narrative that they're either stuck on, or the label told you, like, yo, you got to stick to this narrative because that's what people are fucking with. So it's like, when you end up talking to people from back in the day, it's like, there were no narratives built, especially since you guys knew each other. It's just like, oh, what'd you do yesterday?
Right.
What'd you do last week?
And
that's, that's the conversations that, like, I feel like a lot of artists nowadays don't like having, because they feel like it's kind of irrelevant.
Which is totally untrue, because to me, that's the thing that connects you the most with people. Like, if I know what what you were into earlier today or what sports I don't know. I mean, we can go off of any deep end conversation, but it's something on the surface level that's going to help me connect to who you are. And to be honest, like we were early in the days, we had social media. Twitter was our biggest marketing tool because what would happen is people would see on Twitter what was going on at Homegrown, and then the next day, like it was like literally one big group chat that everybody talked about what was going on from Homegrown Radio on Friday. Like you would kind of like see what was going on the Thursday night, and then Friday morning it was just a big ass recap of what happened. And oh man, so and so hooked up in another room, and hey yo, this happened outside, and yo, did you see that? This person came through. Yo, so and so just randomly popped up. Yo, motherfuckers was twerking in the other room. Like it was just craziness. But it was like you're right. It wasn't Instagram videos, or it wasn't going live. It was like a recap, like, oh man, what's going on? Kind of like how Twitter is nowadays,
well,
but it's just minus the video.
It's literally just like word of mouth.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that was just, if you can get word of mouth just like popping everywhere, like you must be doing something good.
Authentically too. And it was really people like, I just remember one day, one day Schoolboy popped up just out of nowhere. It was just like, wait, what are you doing here? And it was one of we were interviewing somebody. And just imagine there's the room that we have, like to go in here, we have the room and we shut the door because sometimes it would get loud in the living room. Like, let's just say right now we're in your spot, right? That room is where we did Homegrown Radio. And this would be where the turn up was. So the music and the twerking, the twerking, exactly.
Ass and titties.
The ass and titties. Everywhere. We had the Michael Jackson, we had the Michael Jackson weekend. Yeah.
He was like,
Michael Jackson might not be the right thing, but
we had R. Kelly in the back.
Right. It's all bad. No, but we had the game on so we would have video games in the living room in the same place where the girls would be twerking. And shout out to the homie Salas. He would always bring Moscato for the ladies, right? And it would literally just set off a whole different vibe. So in the kitchen, the females are drinking Moscato, getting ratchet, just talking loud. And the middle room would be the video games or TV of the game or whatever was going on, and people just socializing. And then in the room would be the interview. So there would be a group of people that didn't really give a fuck about what was going on in the room in terms of the interview. They just wanted to chill. Wow. So I say all that to say, we're doing an interview one day, and it's hot as hell in this room. I'm like, man, I need to get some air. Open the door, and Schoolboy just sitting on the ground. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He was like, oh man, I just came to pull up. I'm like, how come you didn't tell? I would have pulled you in here. He was like, oh no, I'm good, bro. I'm chilling. I'm like, man, if you don't get your ass in here, like, so he we chop it up with him for a second, and then after that, he had told me he got signed to Interscope. Before it happened, he was like, bro, don't say nothing, but I signed a deal. Wow. I was like, are you serious? So it's like, this kind of shows like the camaraderie that we had. It was like all the homies literally coming up. And when people would have the success, just one person after the next, it was just one of those beautiful things that we just all celebrated at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely one of those things where, even though we didn't have social media, like the Instagrams or it wasn't as visual. Let me put it like that. Yeah. But it was there enough for the word of mouth to spread and people to know that, yo, if you missed it and you see on that timeline that you wasn't there, or you definitely was going to show up next week or find your way in to just come and hang out.
Yeah. So, and then it kind of, like, to the public, it kind of looks like, oh, well, if I go on Homegrown Radio, I could get signed to Interscope.
Exactly.
Hypothetically
speaking.
Right,
exactly. Because all the acts that we were, supporting at the time, they were getting on. Like, we literally did one of the first interviews with Kendrick about his name change, and just him saying, yo, this is going to be my I forgot what album he referenced to at the time, but he was like, yo, this is going to be the one, Chuck. Like, I'm changing my name, and I'm giving, and that was a part of the shedding the layers off. And that's what I respected about Kendrick earlier, because he got that. He got that in 2009, 2010. He was like, yeah, I'm changing the name. Because we knew him as K-Dot. So it was K-Dot, the little homie that kind of sounded like Lil Wayne, kind of sounded like Jay-Z. He was Snapple and everything. But he found his identity and was like, yeah, that's cool, but I gotta really go with what resonates with myself and my core base. And so let me take all that off. Let me go by Kendrick Lamar, and the Kendrick Lamar EP. If you don't know about it, go back and do your research. That was the first thing that really kind of kicked it off in terms of people that were paying attention. He had mixtapes prior to that, but that was the one that people knew, like, oh yeah, this kid is special.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm just proud to be a part of that and be able to document the process of that all happening. I remember giving people his his that mixtape, and I remember giving people Nipsey's Bullets Ain't Got No Name Volume 2. I'm like, yo, these cats, you gotta watch out for them, man. Like, they got some shit. And, some people got on it, some people didn't, but it just to kind of see the trajectory in their career, it's like, man, it's just amazing. You can't just done be proud.
And I think you always have like a certain degree of like which way you want to sway towards, in the sense of like you see somebody like Nipsey Hussle like blow up. You see somebody like Kendrick blow up. You see somebody like Schoolboy Q who tells you like, yo, I'm about to get signed right now. And you have the decision to be like, okay, am I going to be happy for this person, or am I going to like stick in this whole realm of like, fuck, man, that could be me.
Right. I mean, but see, the thing is, I think a lot of people, at least from the sense that I got, it was literally a sense of being proud, because we knew in LA, we had what we call a dry spell of, it was post Death Row. The game was like the biggest shit ever, and it shit just got dry for a good like 5 years, and wasn't nothing coming out the city until New Boys,
the Jerk movement,
the Jerk, and then Cali Swag to District Teach Me How to Duck. Like, it was a good 5 years of just being quiet, and even like a lot of the rappers that were coming out that were extremely talented, it was just bad. Like the clubs didn't support anything that was going on. They wouldn't let these dudes throw shows because of the post-Death Row shit. So everything that was attached to West Coast hip-hop, or just hip-hop in general, West Coast hip-hop specifically, it had a negative connotation to it from the gangbanging shit. So these dudes couldn't do shows. They didn't get radio play, so it just dried up. And it was just a circuit of people like,
that makes
what
sense.
the fuck are we going to do? Extremely talented motherfuckers, but they just couldn't get past a certain level.
with that like that gangster rap stigma like coming out the gates, like post Death Row era, I guess the jerking movement kind of came up because it was way different from like the gangbanging shit. Like, people just wanted to have fun at that point and said like, LA hip hop is just more than just.
I'm gonna tell you what it was. It was a different generation. At the time, if the jerking movement or Teach Me How to Duck, if that shit popped in 2004, it wouldn't have popped in 2004, 2005, because it was still too close to, man, street shit.
I mean, that's when the trap shit was still going on.
Exactly. It's like you had to have a year. That's why 50 blew up the way he did. Like, there was an era of shiny suits and $1 million fucking budgets and all this, and then you got this motherfucker like DMX and 50 who went back to the street shit, and it was like, yo, okay, this is missing. Like, and that's why people gravitated towards it. Then you had a good 4 or 5 years of that overall in hip hop, but it didn't allow anything on the West aside from like Game to really come out and pop. So you had the OGs like Snoop, like Cube, like Dre, that was still in the process of facilitating new art, like artists and just getting out there. But it was no new music out there that was really. I mean, we knew about it. We knew the Gangs, we knew the J-Rocks, we knew the homie Mike Stroh, we knew Bad Luck, we knew all of these cats that were out there putting the work in. But on the mainstream level, it never hit the point.
Well, it wasn't their time at that point.
It wasn't their time, unfortunately. And I mean, you can chalk it up to, politics. You can chalk it up to a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the right time. So come 2008, 9, 10, when this new generation starts to come out there and kind of more the dancing and the skinny jeans, and it's like the older generation was like, man, I can't rock with that. But it was a whole new wave of people that didn't care, and they were like, yo, this is our truth. So it ended up opening the doors for it opened up the doors for people that were willing to spend money to say, okay, this is fun. I can invest in this. We can play this on the radio. This is what the youth is into, versus the stigma of gangster rap and the things that they were trying to get away from for a while. And it helped usher in a lot of the newer artists. It helped usher in the backpack movement. It helped usher in a lot of LA talent that was coming up. It just gave them, even though if they didn't get radio play, it gave people a voice that the You and I, shouts to the Thirds and oh my God, it's slipped on my mind right now. Thirds and YO. I don't know why I forgot about that. Thirds and YO. I mean, just a lot of people on the scene that were coming up, doing their thing, and man, it allowed the identity for LA to change from gangster rap to there's more than just that, and I think that was the best thing for us. So coming from that, we saw how dry it was to where it was at this point, and it was like, okay, this is a good thing.
But I feel like also like during that dry spell, if I'm getting it correctly, that's when you were like interviewing like the K Dots and the J Rocks and the Schoolboys and whatnot.
It was right in that dry spell. That's when they were coming up.
So yeah, so then during that dry spell was really the time in which like they were getting set up to be very prominent, like post 2015, kind of, that's kind of like when like the jerking and the hyphy movement and like the ratchet music like really started to pop at that point.
Not 2015. 2015 is like everybody's fucking successful. This is like 2009, 2010. This is like early.
That's right.
This is early days. This is before the deals. This is right when people are starting to get deals, and but it allowed for people to look at LA and say, oh damn, this person, Nipsey Hussle, okay. And at that point, Nipsey Hussle had a deal that kind of went sour, but this is like around the time 2011, 2012, but people knew his name. And that was the problem. K-Dot would get on the record and shout out all the homies. There's a song called The Heart Part 1. The Heart Part 1. And he shouts out everybody that I'm talking about, he shouts out all the homies. And it was like, yo, that was just refreshing to hear, because it was like the attention was starting to come on K-Dot, and he just kind of like was like, yeah, I'm gonna just put you on notice about what else. If you like me, these other motherfuckers
you might like
doing,
everybody
you're gonna
else.
like these people too.
And what's crazy is that like it kind of reminds me of like the Bay Area in the sense in which like you never really know like who's really part of that culture. So for Kendrick Lamar to shout out like the Nipsey Hussles and the YGs at that point, it's kind of like, who are these people? Then you see later down the years, it's like those are the same people who I was referencing, like, all the way back then.
Exactly. And I think people don't realize how important that is, just as small as a little shout out would do. You know what I'm saying? Or just the fact that you're supporting somebody else's shit. I think LA, we got a bad rap of that. It was always, new versus old at some point, and just, this lifestyle versus this lifestyle. I don't really rock with it or mesh with it. Backpack versus fucking conscious. I mean, you can just go through whatever. And I feel like out of all scenes, and what I came to find out, is that it wasn't necessarily an LA thing. I think every area has a pocket of artists that do that. If you ask anybody, I think the only two areas that I feel like supports no matter what, and you can actually attest to the two and let me know, is the Bay Area and Atlanta. Those are the only two that it's like, you Bay, I'm rocking with you Bay no matter what. I don't care who you are, what you got going on. Bay, be on it. Atlanta, same thing.
Shit.
It's like, look, you
Shit,
recording
they
in the
adopted
studio.
Cardi B.
Exactly. We putting you on. Like, that's just what it is. And I felt like every other city, you get a sense of, man, the radio don't show love to us. It's the old versus new. It's this. It's every other area. I thought it was just an LA thing, but I come to find out that every area has kind of a sense of that. But just because I was from LA, I saw that kind of firsthand.
But I also think it's that much more difficult to have that sense of like union in LA, because there's a whole bunch of people who aren't from LA. Like, and just from Rochester, I'm from the Bay. Like, we're not from here, but we're here.
Yeah.
And like our ear is like way different from what an LA sound would be.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you have people that are from different areas that come here that are either of the culture or they're not of the culture. And sometimes, in some cases, you have those people that will influence the community, being that if you have a position somewhere and you are a gatekeeper, so to speak, and you have the ability to push something or say you like something or don't like something, it influences everybody else. LA, it's actually Hollywood, is the LA that people from the outside see.
Yeah.
They don't really see the LA. They don't come to the east side. They don't know what, you know what I'm saying, like different landmarks are. They just see the Hollywood facade and think that when they come to
That's
LA,
what LA is.
That's what LA is, and it's not. But I think we kind of have, like, we know what our identity is, but one thing that I do get from other people as well is that, when you're from LA, like I'll admit we do have this stigma, like when it comes to like different shows and shit like that, because I've hosted a lot of different shows. We just are standoffish when it comes to certain shit. It's kind of like we don't trust certain things, right? When you at a show, we're not gonna be the ones like, yo, put your hands up.
Yeah.
It's like, we fuck with that. Okay, I rock with it. Next, what you got? Now we may purchase your shit, but it's like I've seen at plenty of shows where it's not like that. You know what I mean? And I think that just comes to, I don't know what that derives from. If that's the street shit, yeah, I mean, you can name a couple of different things that it really comes from. But I think that is like I don't take it to offense because I'm from here. I'm like, It doesn't mean that motherfuckers don't rock. Like when I host a show and I don't see people really participating, I don't trip. I may say some certain things to get them like participate. That's because that's just who I am. But I don't really trip off of that because I know that that's just a certain stigma that is about LA. Somebody from somewhere else may come like, man, y'all Hollywood or y'all this or y'all that. It's like, nah, it's just kind of our get down. Like, and if you are from here, you know that it's no love lost. It's just that if we ain't fucking with your shit, we ain't fucking with it. If we are, we'll do it in different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why, it was kind of crazy thinking about, like, people from LA in terms of, like, the music. Like, you have somebody like a YG who's, like, very much slapping the ratchet shit. And then you have somebody like Kendrick Lamar who's very conscious. And then you have someone like Tyler who's just, like,
off the wall
type of shit. And I remember asking Head this one time. It's like, do you fuck with, like, Tyler and like what his crew is doing? He was like, no, but there's no like any like bad
animosity
blood. There's no animosity towards it. But I'm kind of like, wow, like just seeing as how different LA can be in just different parts, whether it be like the Hollywood, Melrose area versus like the Watts, Compton area. Like it's so different, and it's kind of crazy how there's like this obvious split.
Right. It's the East Side versus the West Side. That's just really what it boils down to. The East Side is more of like the grimy, gritty. And the East Side and the West Side is kind of split off between where the 110 freeway is, like Figueroa over there, right? So you have everything west of the 110 is the mid-city, West LA, kind of like upper echelon type shit. You got the Tyler the Creator. You got that area, right?
The North Hollywood area.
The North Hollywood, right? Well, not even North Hollywood, because North Hollywood is a whole different sector as well.
Yeah.
This is just the West, right? West LA. But if you had to boil it in, bunch it in somewhere, I guess you can put it into there, right? And then you have the East Side, which is the J-Rocks, the Kendricks, the Schoolboy Q's, like, and more of the street shit that everybody has their own identity, and it's not like for me, I'm from Carson, right? Technically, it's the South Bay, but if we're talking about that same geography, it's the East Side. So I kind of relate more towards that shit. That doesn't mean I have no. I fuck with the West Side. I fuck with a lot of people over there, Fairfax District, all that, right? Dom Kennedy, West Side, right? And it's not anything bad. It's just that, there's two different types of lifestyles.
Yeah.
And I'm privy to know different people on both sides. So it's like, I identify with both. Like, even though I'm from the East Side, I fuck with a lot of people from the West Side too. So it's no love lost, but you're right. It's really what you gravitate towards more and what you want to support. And it's not like you're down on the other side. It's just that this is where you grew up. It's no different than somebody being from Compton and Long Beach. It's two different areas, same side, but it's two different areas. So it's like if somebody's from one city versus the next city, it's not that you don't rock with that city. It's just that you from your side.
So then how would you word what LA's identity is?
That's a good question. Some shit. I mean, to be honest, because it's ever growing. It's like there's really no way to describe it. There's really no way. I at least I can't. Maybe somebody will have a better word, and I'll be like, "Yeah, you're right." But off the top, I really can't even tell you, because I feel like we're survivors, like, of every sense of the word, from the Watts riots to the 92 riots. Like, we've come up off of the idea and the identity to survive where we're at and where we're from. So I think that's why you get that sense of not trusting, because you got that shit. So we're looking at police brutality. We're looking at the gangbang shit, that whole culture. Because even if there's families that actually feud because one's from one hood, one is from the other hood. There's literally, the way LA is set up, you can literally be, this is one hood, this is another hood. You have to peacefully coexist. You have to figure this shit out. There's kids that literally go to school together, that one side of the tracks, their family is from here, the other side is from here, and they have to live together. So it's like you got these kids that go to elementary school together, and then when they hop off the porch, meaning that they join a gang, they're forced to do something in like around 12, 13, and now these kids, just imagine me and you go to elementary school, you live on one side of the street, I live on another side of the street, we go to elementary school together every day till 6th grade, and then we get involved with some street shit. You got to pick a side. I got to pick a side. But we were homies. Now it's like, well, those days are over.
Yeah.
And imagine if my relative gets killed, and I know it was people from your hood, now that creates
there's like some animosity toward
And that's one thing that I talk to, because I'm not gonna portray like I'm from that life, right?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of the hood politics because I'm not from that. I grew up enough around it to make sure. If you notice, even from my whole get down, I don't wear certain colors because I like to keep it neutral. So I'm always in like earth tone colors. I'm never in like super blue, super red, because you just never know where you're gonna be. For me, I know things have changed over the years, but that's the way I came up. You just never know where you're gonna be. So it's best just to. We've all got banged on in our life in LA. You know what I'm saying? I've got banged on down the street from my crib. I got banged on in different neighborhoods. I've been out of pocket. So I know that literally you can lose your life just by walking down the street.
Yeah.
So this is the identity that we were talking about. You literally can. I mean, shit. Just to go back on it, Nipsey Hussle got murdered in front of his store. You know what I'm saying? Like, to even think about how crazy that is, and I think that's why people are so taken back by it, is because it wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? But this is the identity of Los Angeles. Like it, and of course, other cities have that as well. You have different, that happens in different cities, but it's just a different tone in LA. You know what I'm saying? Where the street politics really rule everything that goes on.
That's crazy.
From all kind of relationships, from music industry to, put it like this. Think about this. And I want them to go on record and do some shit together, but I understand there's politics. Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, and Schoolboy Q never did a song together because they were from two different hoods, right? And their hoods beefed, right? And there's some deep ass shit that went through that where they couldn't on record be not necessarily sing together, but do shit together. So it was like, it'll be a big thing if you would have saw like a picture or something of them doing some shit together.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show these are two prominent artists that had influence, and I would say that they would be able to call shots, but it wasn't like that. Like there was
it's way bigger than just
music. Bigger than music, and that's what Los Angeles is all about. And there's no word that I can really describe other than just survivor. You know what I'm saying? Survival.
I guess in a sense too, it's like it's very hard on community, and the community that like you rep too, because especially since two communities like are trying to coexist with one another, but there's a definite line that you can't cross. It's a really difficult thing to like get around in Los Angeles.
It's weird, man. I think one of the things that I pride myself on, and I don't think I even realized it until after the fact. We were in the apartment for 3 years, from 2009 to 2012. And out of that whole time, with different artists coming through, because we were in a certain neighborhood, and just understand like when I would tell people where I would live, I'd be like, yo, it's off Imperial and Crenshaw. They're like, oh, okay. Like, they automatically knew. They're like, all right, for sure. Cool. But out of that whole time, we had no issues. Never, not one time did somebody trip. And even if somebody was about to trip, they respected the fact that it was homegrown, so they would either take that shit somewhere else or just diffuse the whole situation as is, and was no issues.
So it's kind of like you and Head were definitely like the neutral territory for everybody to
even though the hood wasn't, but it was like, yo, when you come to homegrown, all that bullshit goes to the side. Like, we just here to have a good time, and because we know these cats are here to really support what we got going on. So I pride myself in that. But you're right, it's still the identity of Los Angeles, where we just knew like anything could happen at any point in time, and we're always aware and ready for it. So yeah, that just goes back to our identity, like what we're all about, and just what just what our DNA is all about. You know what I'm saying?
Like going back to it, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Just passed away yesterday, March 31st, 2019. Like, what did Nipsey mean to you? Man, just respect, man. I think he commanded a certain level of respect at all times, even from the early days of when I met him. I was working for a different radio station at the time, and I forgot who. There was an interview that I ended up doing with him, G Malone, and J-Rock, and that was one of the first times that I was a fan of his music, and this is at the time where he was one of the other people that I was trying to reach out to, but he was already kind of like, he was igniting, he was exploding, so I never got a chance to personally connect with him on like MySpace, because at that point his Hustle in the House was just going. So
when somebody reached out for me to do the interview, I was like, perfect. I've been trying to reach out to him anyway. So I met him. I'm like, yo, fan of the music, seeing your movement. I respect it, blah, 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 blah. Did the interview. And he respected what I was doing too. So we exchanged contacts and just kept up over the years. But every time I saw Nipsey, it would always be just love. Like, even from at the radio station, there could be a million things going on. You know how it goes at the station, doing drops and this, that, and the third. Is this interview,
a lot of shit going on.
A lot of shit interview. One time, you know, it was just after Victory Lap. It was Victory Lap. Victory Lap had just came out. So he was doing his press run for that. And I'm sure he did like at least 10 or 15 interviews that day, right? And me and Head were on the last leg of that. And he made it a point to come back to the station and kick it with us for a good 30, 45 minutes and do the interview. And even at the end of the interview, we was like, dude, I appreciate you. He's like, man, nah, y'all, this is home team. Like, y'all been down like for a minute. And he recognized that, and he saw we were there, and just him always having that support for us as well, and just recognizing, you know, who really supported him and giving that love back. Was another time where I seen him at the All Eyes on Me premiere. And again, you got to imagine, this is, you know, the movie about Tupac, and this is the Los Angeles premiere. I go grab my credentials, and I see him like when I tell you, Nico's like a good 500-600 feet away. I'm like, it's Nipsey over there, cool. I'm walking across the street. He's walking this way as I'm coming this way, and he locks eyes. He's like, Chuck, what up? I'm like, and this is before Victory Lap came out. So I'm like, we're removed for a couple of years. I know if he saw me, he'll know. But Chuck, what up? You good? And he like double backs, walks in the middle of the street, slap hand. You straight? Yeah, I'm good. He's like, okay, yeah, I'm about to go in this premiere right now. I'm like, oh, for sure, man, it's good to see you. Blah blah blah. But that's the type of person that he was. Again, at the station, a lot of stuff going on. What's up? You straight? Yeah. You good? Hey, Head, I ain't gonna leave without talking to you, bro. Like, he just made it a point to really support the cats that supported him. And, you know, the shit that trips me out is that we've been to the Marathon store for a number of events, and every time that we've been there, no issues. And I've been on record saying that on our podcast. It's like, dude, man, I love the fact that every time that we go to this, to have these big ass events, Publix there, he's slapping hands with the people out there. There's no problems. And even if there is an issue, he would be the one diffusing it. Like, nah, we're not here for that. Like, this is bigger than that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So it that's what makes it a little more disheartening, the fact that, you know, he got murdered in front of his own store. Like, it sucks. But I always hold him in the highest regards, because he commanded that attention, he commanded that respect, and he gave that off. So it was like, it wasn't on some dictator type shit like, hey, respect me, I'm Nipsey Hussle. It was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna look in your eyes. You good? All right. Bless, whoop, whoop. And if somebody was talking to you in a minute, no, hold on one second. I'm finished talking to my bro right here. All right? Yeah. Finish the conversation. All right, how you doing? Yeah, I can get a picture with you right now. Yeah, no problem. Like, that was just, every time I saw him, or every time I saw him or just watched him interact with the crowd, that's exactly what I would see. So it's like, I have nothing but the utmost respect for him, and rest in peace to him. And, you know, I just feel really bad, man, as a father, just the idea that his kids they're not gonna see their father anymore. Like, for me, that's the biggest thing. That hip hop, you know, he was a great artist, great community, you know, guy for the philanthropist. He did amazing things for his community. But the fact that somebody lost their father, it's like,
well, that hits home for you.
Yeah, man, it's home for me, because I am a new father. So all I can immediately think of is my son, and like, damn, like, I just want to get home to him right away and just embrace him and just have those moments. And even when we did an interview with them, that same interview when we were talking about the Victory Lap, you know, I asked him about, you know, just advice as a father before I had my kid. I'm like, yo, man, like, how do you do it? You're a successful artist. You have to split your time between this and that and the things that you're passionate about, but at the same time, you got your babies. He was like, man, I ain't got no answer for you, Chuck. He was like, I can't tell you the right or wrong way, but you will make a sacrifice. And I know now, at the time, he was like, I know now I'm laser sharp focused on making sure I spend time with my kids. So it's like, that just hit home even more. Like, damn, dude, I know he was a great father, and you know, they're losing out on that. So that's the most fucked up part about it to me. You know
Hell yeah, because I think you know, being a family, being somebody, being a dad, being somebody who's so prominent in the community, to me at least, that's way bigger than the street shit.
Absolutely.
Way bigger.
Absolutely.
Way bigger than
You mean
music.
the community or the fatherhood?
Fatherhood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's just like seeing as how, I mean, he could raise his kids, and seeing as how I remember just seeing like this little video, circulating from the past, day that like he was opening up like he was attempting to open up a whole bunch of businesses like right next to the marathon store.
Buying up the whole block.
You know what I mean? Like he got that whole block, and he wanted people to come in, have them, create jobs for them, and like just give back to the community like that much more. So when you take somebody away like that, it's kind of like, wow, like this guy was doing so much good for all these people, and at the end of the day, it just sucks.
It does, man. And honestly, and you know me, Nico. You know me as the positive person. I find the positive in every situation. Man, I've been literally scratching my head for the last 24 hours. I can't see anything positive about this because literally you took somebody that was doing so good, and it's like that only leads me to think like, damn, dude, I haven't even done anything close to the magnitude of what a Nipsey Hussle has done. And so you mean that even if I get to the point where I can make that type of impact, one motherfucker can take my shit and it can all be gone. Like it's just it's disheartening. For me, it takes hope away. Like it's a lot of these emotions. And again, granted, this is super fresh, so I might have a new perspective on it. But just honestly speaking, it just made it. I'm torn because I'm like, it's just a fucked up situation, and it didn't have to go down like that. And it just leaves you just like speechless. You know what I'm saying?
But I posted something like literally right before you got here, and I was saying how like I feel like the legacy of Nipsey Hussle could definitely live through all of us if we just look at what he has done for the community, if we just keep on giving back to the communities that like raised us, like his legacy lives on through all of us.
Absolutely,
at that point.
Absolutely. But the again, I'll leave it on this note. I won't even continue to just harp on it, but another thing that I've been seeing is that people have the notion of like, oh, well, he shouldn't have been there, or he shouldn't be in the hood. I'm like, who the fuck else is gonna clean up the community? Like, who else is gonna be that example? Me personally, if I'm from that hood, that neighborhood, I would rather somebody that I know invest back into the community because I know their intentions are pure versus an outside person do it.
Yeah.
Or I would be even hotter if you blow up and you take your resources elsewhere. It's like, well, what about us? So for people to say, oh man, he shouldn't have been there. He was in the community. He was doing a little too much. He's too accessible. Nah, man, I can't subscribe to that because for me, I would rather see that versus the opposite end. You know what I'm saying? Of somebody that can just take their resources and buy up a different block. And he could have easily did his shit on Fairfax. He could have easily did it off of Melrose.
Popularize it,
and just blow the fuck up and just say deuces, right? But and I mean, and I look at, it's kind of a crazy comparison, but I look at Nipsey Hussle like I look at Barack Obama, right? In the sense of the idea of what he represented. The idea of Barack Obama as a black president, people can say what they want to say, politics, this, that, and the third. Well, he really didn't do this, whatever. He didn't really help the black community, whatever. But all I know is that my niece and nephew have never known what it's been like to have another type of president aside from a black president. That type of idea sparked something in them to say, oh, I can do this. When we grew up, all we knew was white presidents. It was like, okay, you can do anything you want except be president because, and even if that's not even the message that you give off, psychologically, when you see that, when you're looking and naming all the presidents in school, you don't see anybody that looks like you. That has an effect on you, whether you believe it or not. So when Barack Obama became president, I'm like, oh, my niece and nephew have no idea what it's like other than that a black man was president. Obviously now we're in a whole different situation, but just to start that off, Nipsey Hussle, when he built the marathon store and renovated and the crazy technology that was in there, he was introducing shit that regular people didn't even know about. So imagine some kid from the hood walking in and seeing that, oh, you can scan his T-shirt and play the music. That just sparks something completely different other than, oh, I can be a rapper. Oh, I can play in the NBA. I can play sports. I can tell jokes. I can do all these other things like, but damn, I could be an engineer. I could program this. It just gives them possibilities. And I feel like that's what Nipsey Hussle represented. He represented possibilities. And again, psychologically, the fucked up part about it is that you just took somebody's possibilities away from them right in front of them. And that's why it's a bigger fuck you, because it's like, damn, everything that he was doing good somebody, and again, positively thinking, the ideas that he represented is going to far live on. But it's just the fact that he was, taken down like that. But I compare them to because I feel like his like you said, his legacy, his memory, and everything that he did will live on for sure. Just because of what he represented, and I think a lot of people, once they get past his hurt and they see what he was about, they'll take that, and I'm guaranteeing the people that were inspired by it are going to do nothing but great things. Like that Vector 90 program is just something amazing in the community that people don't even know about. Well, people do know about it, but there needs to be more light on that, and people to see the program that it's all about, and just a space that, it's just a space for the community and kids to really have to just have an outlet. You know what I mean? So I think that's an amazing thing that, he represents, and that's going to continue to go on in his memory.
Well, I feel like a little bit of him definitely sprinkled off onto Homegrown Radio because the way you guys, now being on Real 92.3, the way you guys still want to bring up a whole bunch of people who we have never heard of on one of the biggest media platforms in the world is crazy to me, because you could easily just be like, oh, we could get more people like India Love. Let's just get people within her range. Right. But it's like, no, you guys are bringing up people like the One Take Jays, the OSVSs, and all them. And I'm just like, damn, you guys are on the mainstream platform still doing the same shit.
Yeah.
You were still giving back to your communities.
And the hard part about that is people understanding, man, and you know it because you're in the building now and you get it, but the fight that it takes to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people think that it's so easy. They're like, man, just play my record on the radio. Even if I wanted to do that, that's not going to change anything. That's going to give you that small fix for the time being, but at the risk of what? Ratings dropping, and then us never being able to do it, because I've been through that multiple times. You know what I'm saying? I've played people's songs on the radio when I wasn't supposed to, got fired from it, got removed from the building, and I didn't have the same. I remember those calls not coming in anymore. Yeah. So I just remember like, oh, damn, you wanted me to go so far for you, and when I was like sticking my neck out, where were, I mean, and not to say that I need that, but it's like, but where were you? I know for
when you were
fact,
at your lowest point.
I know exactly what it is. I know the influence and the power that we have with Homegrown, and I know the influence and power that we have at Real 92.3, and the amount of calls you get when you have some status, and the amount of calls you get when you don't have some status. One of my big homies told me, shout out to the homie Tawala, he was like, man, look, they don't love you, they love the chair that you in. I'm like, damn. I was like, it hurt, because I'm like, damn, here I am doing what I think is the best for the community and the culture. He's like, that's great. And he's like, that's amazing and all, but just remember, and at the end of the day, it's bigger than you. Like, they care about that chair. They care about that microphone. They want to be next to the lunch table logo. They want to be next to the Real 92.3 logo. And you got artists along. I don't want to paint the light that every artist is like that, because you got a lot of people that really get and understand and will utilize the platform for what it is and are super appreciative. But don't get it fucked up for one moment to think that if you stop doing this today, there's going to be somebody else that's going to take your spot, and they're going to be one to get on camera with that other person and, be the next, whatever the case, whatever that is. So for me, that gives me that allows me to stay humble, and allows me to know that it's bigger than me because of the passion that I have for it. With or without the station, I'm gonna be just fine. I'm gonna figure out a way to do however I want to do, exist how I want to do, live how I want to live, and still provide a platform, whether it be on social media, whether it be on whatever platform. I don't know what, podcasting is a thing now, but whatever we can't see in 10 years, that's the next thing. Homegrown Radio or Chuck Dizzle is going to be a part of that, as we were when it was terrestrial radio, when it was college radio, when it was internet radio. Like, we were doing Homegrown Radio before there were apps on your phone, when they called them applications. It was like, there's an application called BBM on BlackBerry Messenger. That's how I would promote for my show. It was like an instant messenger on your BlackBerry.
You guys were podcasting before podcasting even existed.
We literally had a podcast. Like, all of our shows, because we were doing shows, we were really like all of our shit before. I'm so mad about this too. All of our shit before 2012 has been erased. It's gone.
Damn.
And part of that is because just technology wasn't caught up, and there was no real way to save it. Like, you got to think hard drives, and we're going way left field, but like, there wasn't the ability to save content the way you can save it now. Like, now you can have terabytes and of memory that you can save, the cloud.
Shit.
Like
back in the day, it was just a floppy disk.
it was man, and even damn, you dating them motherfuckers.
That's how I know, man.
Floppy disk,
I'm old
and
enough.
even the CD, like and even the USB drives if you want to get a little more current, but shit, you only got like 56 megabytes on there, and it's like you already know as somebody that does media,
like
that's not a
show.
That's not enough, and that's just audio. We're not even talking about a video, so it's just like it's completely different nowadays, and I think it's to the credit, and it's working out. And again, however I'm gonna be, I definitely see myself in the realm of whatever the media landscape is, with myself as a brand, Chuck Dizzle, and with Homegrown Radio, and just trying to climb up that ladder either way. Now, I would love for it to be on Real 92.3 and, syndication. I would love for that to play out that way. But if it doesn't, I'm going to be okay, because I've been through this before. I've been let go from 2 different radio stations. Been at a radio station. The first one I was talking about, they flipped formats just right after I got on air. I was like, oh, shit. The second one, I did some fuck shit, got fired because I was sticking my neck out on the line for people, and that opportunity left. So when Real came, I wasn't even looking for the opportunity to be on air again. I was just like, yo, I'm cool with building Homegrown as is and just pushing, the way we were doing it. And then when the opportunity came, it was like, oh, shit, this is a no-brainer.
How'd that opportunity even happen?
Well, I'm going to give credit to DJ Head because he hadn't had the experiences that I had. I've worked for 2 different radio stations. He didn't. So when there was news buzzing around that there was going to be another urban radio station in L.A., he was like, yo, there's no way that there's going to be a station here in L.A. and I'm not going to be a part of it. I was like, yeah, best of luck to you, bro. Do your thing. Like, I get it. I've done it. So no love lost, but hey, handle your business, bro. Yeah. So he gets in, doing DJ Head, and they were looking for a weekend job. And he's like, oh, shit. At the time he got in, he was just doing DJ. He was just on air as a DJ. So I was showing him how to do his air check. I'm like, bro, this is how you want to set it up. Boom, here, I'm going to email this to you. Just craft your air check like this. And they were looking for a weekend job. He was like, oh, shit. Matter of fact, here's my boy. Let me forward you this email. And shouts out to the homie Fuzzy. Shouts out to Doc Winter. Shouts to DJ AO. They called me in for a meeting. They were like, yo, we're looking for a job. You want to be? They brought me in on a Wednesday. They were like, yo, you start on Friday. I was like, okay.
Shit.
All right. And shouts to the homie J9. He trained me like literally right after that meeting, and I was on air that Friday. So it was like, man, I can't look at anything, these opportunities. It's all God, bro. Like, there's people, and from being in radio, there's people that have been in the business that have to move outside of the market in order to get on. And I preach that same story to everybody. Like, do what you got to do to make it work. Because I was one of those people. I didn't mind. I sent my air check out. My first stint in radio back in 2004. I sent my shit out to Hawaii, Nebraska, Wisconsin, everywhere, Miami, everywhere. I was like, man, wherever I can just get on. And I just never got hit back. So I was lucky enough. And again, that's God, because had I done that, I would have moved to a different area and Homegrown wouldn't have been started. Mm-hmm. So I was blessed enough to have 3 opportunities to be on LA radio, and I don't take that shit lightly. I know that's not the normal story. So I feel like it's bigger than me. There's a reason why I'm here. Even when I get down on myself, like, damn, I could be doing more. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. It's like, nah, man, you wouldn't have these opportunities for no fucking reason. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is that, like, whenever you and I are on the radio, like, it's always like this different energy that I feel, because I, like, when I do tune in on Homegrown Radio on Saturday nights, but then when I'm actually, like, there in the studio with you, like, I actually feel this, like, aura that I don't get from anybody else.
Right.
And I remember talking to Salas about this, and Salas was just like, well, you gotta recognize that Chuck, like, actually loves this shit. He really loves this shit.
It's a passion of mine, man. It's a passion, bro. It's like, I literally, and I think that me and Head talk about that shit too, because he's like, bro, yeah, I get that. He's like, you the passionate motherfucker, but we got to figure out a way to get this monetized. And I think that's what our balance is. Like, people love it because he's a yin, I'm the yang. There's so many times people are like, yo, how are you guys friends? Because I know the core of DJ Head and what he's about and what he represents. Just because on a surface level it comes off a little hard, that I know the inside, and he knows me. Like, he knows I'm passionate about this shit, and that I will literally go broke just to do something I love and give my last for people. So you have that mixture between people. So he takes care of one side, I'll take care of the other side, and it just creates this nice dynamic and that balance where it's what we have now. And a lot of people even say, like, that's the chemistry when we're doing interviews or anything like that. It's like, that's that chemistry that you can't just recreate. And when we're on air, people notice that. So it translates for myself when I'm on air with different people. I just try to find the commonalities. Like, you're somebody of the culture that is the same way. You're very passionate about, your brand. You're very passionate about hip hop. And I appreciate that. So it's like when I'm on air with you, it's like two homies just talking, and it's like two people that love this shit, and I want to bring out the best in you, just like I want you to bring out the best in me. So it's like I've had the experience and the knowledge in how to format that in a way when we're doing talk breaks to make it a little effortless. Whereas, I credit that to my experience. Not a lot of people can do that because they don't have the experience. I wasn't like that when I was first on air. It took me 10 years back to the very first.
You were probably scratching your head when we were first on air. Like, man, this motherfucker is not saying what I need him to say.
Not even that. It's just that it's not even that. It's just that I have to figure out who you are. I got to figure out the things that make you pop, and I have to bring out the best in you. You're not going to get that off of a first conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to get that after you kind of chill with somebody, have a few talks. Oh, man, he likes this. Okay. So now I know, like, when we go on air, I automatically know you're Bay, I'm LA. We can have a little fun with that, go odds with that.
Always.
You're Filipino, I'm black. We can have a little racist jokes on air. And it's like, but we have a love for this thing called hip hop. And we at the end, that's our commonality. No matter what our differences are, we know our commonalities. And that's the shit that helps us shine. So, yeah, man.
It'll never get to a point where it gets too far because we know where our boundaries are.
Exactly.
And we know how each other, how our minds work.
Right, exactly. And it creates great for chemistry, man. I mean, so I do appreciate that because that's one thing that I always want my brand to be synonymous with in terms of, like, I just want to be the homie. Like, I want people to know that whenever you hear me on the radio, whenever you hear me on the podcast, you're talking to, or you're listening to somebody that's relatable. I want to feel like you're the passenger with us on that ride. So however we can do that, if we're cracking jokes and somebody feels like, yo, I felt that because you said that and I said it to my boy, or whatever the case may be, I just want that to translate throughout the airwaves and for people that's, the audience.
Amen to that. We're going to end it on that note.
All right.
That was beautiful, man. Chuck Dizzle, where can everybody find you? No longer I am Chuck Dizzle.
Finally, man. Hey, I'm on. You can find me at Chuck Dizzle. Shouts out to the homie that let the name go. You know what I'm saying? And shouts out to my plug. You know what I mean? You know who you are. Good looking out. At Chuck Dizzle on Instagram, Twitter. You can search me on Facebook as well. Of course, at Homegrown Radio, homegrownradio.net. Just, man, keep looking out. And, of course, on Real 92.3 Saturday nights with DJ Head, 7 to midnight, Homegrown Radio. And every single night, late as fuck, with Chuck, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m.
And Dad Vice.
Which,
Don't forget that.
I love that. I'm a credit Nipsey Hussle with that as well. One of the first people that I asked for advice as a father, and it just blossomed into this whole thing where I'm asking entertainers and people that are fathers and some people that aren't fathers just some advice that they can give to me as a father and other fathers out there. So that's been something that's been springing out.
Amen.
Springing out a word. Springing out. We're going to make it a word.
It's been popping.
This
is the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz. I feel like Dizzle.
I feel like we got to do like a little. Are you gonna rap? It's the lunch table.
Homegrown Radio.
Hey. All right. It felt like you had to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's the lunch table.
No, we actually just had a beatboxer just in here the other day.
Really?
Yeah. I'm actually gonna chop up that clip.
There it is, man. I appreciate you having me though, for real, bro.
Thank you, Chuck.
Love.